officially announced that he's going to withdraw the United States from the Paris Climate Change Accords, which means really you can expect, you can expect to see a whole lot more rising sea levels from melting ice, coastal cities flooded, as we're already seeing, billions more dollars in damage from droughts, storms, floods, wildfires, etc., terrorist attacks from countries that are destabilized by said droughts, floods, etc., increased acidity of oceans, harming sea life, disrupting ocean food chains. That's just to get started. That's a few things that we can expect to see more of in the near future because of what our president just did. So as I've been thinking about this for the last couple of days, I think, like many of us, we're feeling a little bit overwhelmed because the Paris Agreement was only the most recent of terrible things that have happened. We haven't even talked about Trump's trip to Europe and the Middle East and so on. So in trying to think of what our grand strategy could or should be based on what I'm gathering from Indivisible and other things, a few things come to mind that I wanted to share with you that might inform our actions today and beyond. There's 5 things that came to my mind as part of our grand strategy. First, if it isn't clear to you already, let it be clear to you now. Trump is catering to his base. He really doesn't care what the other 60 to 70% of the country feels about. Even the majority of Republicans agree that we should have stayed in the Paris Accords. He was really doing this strictly to cater to his coal mining constituents. So rather than trying to change that 30%, everything that we do, I would hope, should be focused on the other 60, 70% that are persuadable. Otherwise, number 2, keeping Trump and the GOP on the defensive. That really is part of our key strategy, I think. The more time we force them to play defense, the less time they're going to be able to spend playing offense. And that's why the Russia investigation is so key. That really, more than anything else, is keeping them on the defensive. Third, as far as something that we can do personally, keeping social media pressure on Trump. We know that he's got a fragile ego. We know that he's terribly thin-skinned, and we know that he's addicted to social media. So by all means, use whatever social media tools that you can to spread and share negative stories about him. Make him tweet. He's his own worst enemy. If we can make him tweet, really, that is probably one of the greatest weapons we have. Number 4, focus our energies where we can make a difference. Helping John Ossoff get elected, flipping to 45th, putting pressure on Dave Reichert. He's in a neighborhood sister district with us. Not forgetting that there's a whole nother Washington on the other side of the mountains that is just as red as any other red state that we should be focusing our attention on. Defeating Trump care, since that goes back to the Senate, is a big deal. Denying him any kind of victories, blocking everything that they try to do until we get our way is key to strategy. And lastly, more than anything else, focus on winning the Senate and or the House in 2018. Any talk of impeachment, any talk of independent investigation is really just kind of a waste of time, because it's just not going to happen. As long as Republicans control either of those houses, none of those things we can really expect to happen. So everything that we do can and should be focused on taking control of Congress in 2018. Sound good? What do you think? Raise your hand. So, bearing that in mind, I also wanted to remind you on one of those points today, people are meeting to make calls to help John Ossoff get elected. Am I saying his name right? Is it Ossoff? Ossoff.
Vote your Ossoff.
Yeah, very good. How many of you have already done anything to help in this particular campaign? How many of you participated in any of the calling parties? Awesome. Want to encourage you to do that. Our friends in Shoreline Indivisible are really taking the lead on that, and they have been hosting calling parties regularly for the last couple months at least. They unfortunately seem to be happening about the same time our meetings are. But boy, if you gotta have an excuse to get out of this meeting, that is probably about the best excuse you can have. And I encourage anybody to help out with that. Otherwise, this week, the calls to action coming from Indivisible National are to call, email, fax members of Congress. 1, to thank them for supporting the Paris Agreement. Call members of city and state government to see if we can get them on board to go around national. Demand hearings for Trump care in the Senate, because they are going to be back from recess and they are going to be taking up Trump care in the Senate. And not surprisingly, they're trying to do it without any kind of public hearings at all, because they they know once people know what's in it, they're going to vote against it. So demand hearings on it. And third, demand an independent commission for Trump's ties to Russia. That's the Indivisible national thing. Question?
Yeah, I've just seen news reports that Jay Inslee is joining the governor of New York and the governor of California in organizing to get around and I want to think that it would be a good thing to encourage him and encourage your state representative to persist in those efforts.
Good. Did folks on the other side of the room hear what was said? She said our Governor Inslee is already on it in terms of making Washington go around Trump and be on board, get our state on board with the Paris agreements, which would be terrific. So, announcements. We've got a whole bunch of them. Nicole wanted to talk a little bit about the Tuesday rally, and I didn't say this, but did you want to talk a little bit about the March for Truth yesterday?
Sure.
Would be great. Brenda, Treasurer's update, parade update. June 10th, a week from tomorrow, there is a march against Sharia law. I didn't know we had a problem with that, but apparently we do, because people apparently are marching about it, and it is causing some questions, concerns as far as what we should do as far as a response to it. Wanted to talk about that a little bit. It has come to our attention the reality of threats and violence from the right wing, not only nationally, not only worldwide, but even within our group and within Seattle, we're seeing things that are of concern. What did I say? Did I say Sunday?
No, you said a week from tomorrow.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
The March for Sharia law, March against Sharia law is Saturday, a week from yesterday, not tomorrow. Thank you. We also have a guest speaker today, Harlan Karlowitz, talking about modern monetary theory. We also have Jeff Eisenberry, who's returning this week to do a little bit of follow-up on shoreline income tax from last week. Raise your hand if you would like to make an announcement in addition to any of the things that I listed. I see 1, 2. Okay, so bear in mind that we are trying to move into breakout groups within the next 25 minutes. So we're trying to get all of that done within the next 25 minutes. Nicole, do you want to come up and start? And anyone who wants to make an announcement, once we get to number 4, number 5, you can line up by the mic down here or line up over here with the steps to make an announcement.
Hello, my name is Nicole Bratt. I am your social media admin as well as one of your lead organizing team. I have 3 things for you today. Firstly, a little bit of housekeeping. As far as getting our venue here paid for, I need to make a motion before everybody. The motion is that we will use $720 of our donation money to pay for 4 weeks advance to the Shoreline Senior Center. So, ayes in favor, hands? Against? Alrighty, so we're going to use money for that. Next thing, thank you. The March for Truth happened. I don't really have a whole heck of a lot to say about it. We had a contingent, we had our banner. It was a great march, peaceful, well organized. There was a marching band, it was kind of cool. We do have photos on the website. There was one crazy pro-Trump guy out there shouting at us, but beyond that, it was pretty chill. Tuesday rally, this is kind of the big one. So for those of you that were here last week, we got some direction at the last minute from the Indivisible national team that we should have a Tuesday rally in front of the senator's office to demand an independent commission and to hold them accountable. So we planned that, and it kind of was a bit of a horror show. We did communicate ahead of time that we were coming, but then when we got there, the senator's staff told us that they were not notified, and we were shown into a conference room and just left there. So they refused to meet with us. They did not send a representative. They had nobody available. And so what we're going to do is start to organize a little bit better with the downtown Seattle Indivisible. We're also going to write some letters to the editors to let everybody know that this happened, because it's not acceptable that they're not willing to meet with us. Now, usually at this point, I do a little social media spiel, so we're going to do it again. You feel free to let your eyes glaze over your head if you're not into the computers. Donald Trump has amassed 3 million brand new Twitter users in this last week. These are not real people. They are hackers, robots, and trolls, okay? We don't know what he's planning on doing with this massive propaganda army, because we haven't seen any real action yet, but those of you who have been avoiding the Twitter, now is a time to get on board with that, because we need to really, really fight this propaganda that's going to be starting to happen. So we do have a Twitter tutorial on our activism guide, which is on our website. I'm going to be planning a lecture, kind of how to use Twitter thing happening sometime soon. So I highly, highly encourage everybody to sign up for a Twitter account if you don't already. My name's Nicole. Any questions, comments, problems, concerns, call me. Have your people call my people. And that's all I have. Brenda.
Question over here. Nicole? Yeah, I have a question here.
Sorry, what's up?
Is there an upcoming Tuesday rally scheduled?
We don't have one next week. What I'm kind of thinking at this point is that we're going to do one. So there is like an impromptu meeting, but we don't have an official planned. So what we're going to be having an organizers meeting coming up with Seattle Indivisible soon. If somebody wants to start planning those, then that's great. But no, we don't have an official.
They were doing them every Tuesday up until a couple of Tuesdays ago, and I think they just decided they kind of ran out of steam on it and decided to do one a month.
Question up front?
That's what Seattle Indivisible is doing.
That's what they're doing, so if we want to do anything different, we really should be coordinating with them. Yeah.
Well, as you know, I was one of those people who was trying to go most weeks. And what it is that when Seattle Indivisible scaled back to once a month after 100 days, basically the offices took it as their opportunity to also scale back. Seattle Indivisible is going to be there once a month on the first Tuesday of the month. So we know that there is a meeting on the 13th of June. Did you get the letter that I sent out? I thought I emailed you. It will be, no, not this week, but that's June 13th. I'm sorry, the second Tuesday, which in this case is June 13th. I'm out of town. But I just sent the official letter from, and your name's on it. I think I sent you a
I'll check
copy.
again.
Asking them to basically keep doing the weekly meetings, keep the pressure on. I can't be there on that official Tuesday, but I would really suggest, and I will send Jonathan a copy of that letter, that we keep that on that day where we know we have a big crowd, to really go after them, to offer them weekly.
Sounds good. Thank
And
you.
there was another question in the middle back. Gentleman, hand up. Anybody? Bueller? Okay.
Thank you. Give her a hand, ladies and gentlemen. Because Tom is recording our meetings for live streaming, it really helps if you're going to ask a question that's more than 5 seconds long, if you can somehow get to a mic. Either come on up here or flag me down, we'll get you a mic. Thank you.
So yes, speak into the mic. You almost have to touch your lips to it. Okay, so I'm Brenda DeJart. I'm also one of the lead organizers for this group, and I'm also the treasurer. So this is our treasury report as of now. Right now, we have an available balance of $2,116. So yay for us. And we just passed a measure or a motion to pay 4 weeks in advance. We do have a 1-year lease here, so we do have to come up with $180 every week. So what we're looking at right now is with 4 outstanding checks, we have $1,636, all right? What that means is after 4 weeks of prepaid rent, we will have about $916 left over. But the optimal thing that we want is at least 4 weeks of cushion, so that if we have 1 week where we don't come up with the main rent, we can at least cover 4 separate weeks. So I'd like to be able to move from there and keep that $916 in. Now at the end of the year, if we want to use that for something, donate to something, buy something, whatever, let's do that. But if anybody has any questions about this or doesn't want to do this, please just raise your hand and we can talk about it. But right now I'm going to make a motion to keep that $916 in for cushion. So if everybody agrees that we should do this, raise your hand. Are there any no's? Okay, thank you so much. So yay, let's hear it for ourselves. We also are still getting income from these lovely t-shirts over here for $20. We still have donations coming in. We're selling at Cafe Press, so we make a certain amount of money for online specific things like cheese strings, t-shirts, and coffee mugs. Everybody needs one of those. We also make money off of our buttons that we sell and refrigerator magnets. Okay, let me see. All right, I already said all that stuff. Okay, so if during the summer if we have certain things that we would like to get specifically that might benefit our whole group. For instance, we all chipped in and we bought a big Indivisible sign. If one of your groups has something like that and it's really pressing, please come and talk to one of us and we will put a motion before the group to see if we would like to, as a group, pay for that. So keep that in mind. Let me see. We are taking credit cards, and we have a little thing, a little square for it. We are taking cash and checks, and anything you can give us. People are like, well, I've got 50 cents. We'll take 50 cents. I just got almost $19 worth of change after saving it up. So yes, we will take it. And the parade, I just want to say we are doing the parade. It is happening. I do have a list here. There's two. There's one on July 4th in Everett, and that's at 11 o'clock in the morning. And we're going to have three floats at truck. We're going to have our cardboard representatives in the back of the truck having their very first town meeting. We need kids and families to just show up that day in superhero costumes or whatever. We're going to have stuff, kazoos and stuff like that. We're going to have our own Melania Trump in the parade with a sign that says, "Money can't buy me love." So we do have a bunch of stuff going on. I need one other person who is willing to show up and bring a truck so that we can load all the stuff in that we need. We already have one truck. So if you're interested in doing this, I have the original sign-up sheet with names and stuff. If you're interested in coming the day of, please mark on there. If you're willing to help, please mark on there as well. And any questions? Yes.
Can we expect Chicken Donald to appear?
Can we expect Chicken Donald to appear? Well, if somebody can make that happen, that would be great, but we don't have that in line just yet. Okay, thank you so much. Oh, sorry, the other parade is July 28th, and that one is in Montlake Terrace, and that's an evening parade at 7 o'clock for all those afraid of getting sunburned. That would be the good one to come to. Okay.
Thank you, Brenda. So let's talk a little bit about June 10th. Do I have this? Nope. How many of you already have heard about the March Against Sharia law coming up next week? Sounds good. I don't really know a whole lot about it myself, other than it seems to be happening. I think it was scheduled to happen in Portland, and after the attacks there, they decided maybe we should move it to some other liberal left-wing city on the West Coast. So it's happening here. I believe I have heard discussions about response from our side, but I don't know if I've heard of any formal events being planned. Do you know of something?
Yes, I never.
Why don't you come on up, take the mic. Right here.
A group called One People's Project is organizing.
Hold a little closer.
Is that working?
Like point it straight at you.
Okay, I'm not a mic person. Okay. A group called One People's Project. I'm not familiar with them, but they've created an event basically that same day that we found out about the march coming up here. Seattle stands with its Muslim neighbors, and it's Saturday, June 10th from 10 till 2 at Westlake Park.
So it's at a different location, right?
It's at a different, because the other group, got their permit a couple days ago, and it's somewhere downtown, but
Okay.
I think they wanted it to be at Westlake, but these guys got it first.
Okay.
Can I add something to that real quick?
Yeah, come on up, Carl. Take the mic. Or bring the mic to Carl.
There's speculation that they're trying to move it around. There's speculation that they're trying to move it around to avoid the counter-protest. So they registered, what's the park just north of Pike Place Market? Kelly Anderson, yeah. So they registered it there, but they don't think that's a tiny probably just trying to throw people off.
Okay. Did you want to add something, Nicole?
I have some clarification. So the people that are doing this anti-Muslim protest, they are called Act for America. This is a nationwide protest. So this is not just Seattle. There are going to be sister marches, sister rallies, every place. They are a actual hate group registered by the Southern Poverty Law Center. So they are like basically the anti-Muslim KKK. There is a counter-protest planned, and it is planned in accordance with MAPS, CARE, and our Muslim neighbors. So they are aware of this, they're taking the lead, and we're following. All this information is on our website, Indivisible North Seattle. Well, it's actually on our Facebook page is where you're going to find all of these events. So as of right now, Westlake is where the counter-protest is going to be. And every indication is that this ACT group is going to be quite small, and we're going to outnumber them. So that's all I got.
Awesome. Thank you, Karen. Yeah, strategically speaking, that would be my recommendation. I certainly would encourage people to go to the Sharia March thing and get into conflicts with them. That really only feeds into what they want. They want the negative attention. They want the media there to be covering whatever kind of conflicts would happen. I would just let them do their thing with a small group of people over there, and let's have a massive outpouring of support someplace entirely different. How many people would be there to support that? Awesome. So stay tuned for details, and we'll see. We'll certainly post them on the website as it happens. Question? Is this a short question, or do you want to come on and take mine? Go ahead.
The MAPS people have actually sent out an open letter saying
Good.
exactly that.
Good.
Be peaceful. Don't answer hate with hate. If
Good.
you think you won't be able to control your anger, stay home.
Good. Yeah, the MAPS people, Muslim Association of Puget Sound, I would definitely follow their lead on it and just do whatever, follow their lead on it would be great. Any other thoughts, questions on that?
3:30.
3:30. Awesome. Thank you. We're doing pretty good on time, I think. But on a related note, just wanted to bring up some concerns that really seem to have bubbled up just within the last few days. And that just refers to the rising threats of violence and, rising acts of violence and threats of violence, not only around the world in London and elsewhere, but right here in Portland and right here in Seattle. But we saw a photo of somebody doing a Nazi salute at the march yesterday.
There were 3 incidents this week where women who were to speak, some at the university, were intimidated by death threats and to themselves and their families, and to the point where they pulled out. One was a congresswoman from Iowa who dropped out of the race, a Democrat. And 2 were affiliated with university, I believe. 2 black women. And so what's happening is, and this up on the screen fits right in with it, is that approach that has been promoted by Fox News and some of the men there, to go after people. I mean, if you're going to stick your neck out and run for office or do that sort of thing, then we're going to intimidate the heck out of you in relationship to you and your family. Now, I don't know whether they're doing it with men, but they're sure doing it with women.
Thank you.
So this is probably a good time to remind you that if you see anything questionable on Facebook or Twitter, just tag me, because I will bring my banning hammer down with wrath and fury. So my name is Nicole, just at Nicole Bratt, and I will take care of whatever situation if it's an online thing.
Thank you. Just a reminder, in case you didn't know, our Facebook group is a closed group, so the the only people who can see postings or comment on postings from our group are folks who are members. And yes, we are screening everyone who applies to be a member of our group to make sure that they are okay. If we're okay with that, something tells me we should be moving on. So, guest speaker, Harlan, you want to come on up and speak? Harlan, let's get out. Thank you. Harlan is going to be visiting one of our breakout groups today, and he's going to give you a little sneak preview of what they're talking about.
Hello, my name is Harrison. Actually, you guys, my last name is wrong. Hello, can you hear me now? Yeah. Okay. So again, my name is Harrison. I studied economics in undergrad. I'm actually going to graduate school for this. So I just wanted to talk to you today about modern monetary theory, or modern money theory as it's sometimes referred to. The reason we're bringing this up basically is what's the common denominator? So what's the common denominator in all the things, the social causes, the social movements we're trying to do this way? Okay. The common denominator is how do we pay for this? How do we change it in our economic system? So whether it's climate change, whether it's single-payer health care, we need to find a way to actually fund these programs. One of the common refrains we actually have from Republicans often, and even Democrats, is that we're out of money, that we need to tighten our belts. You see this in Europe under austerity programs where they cut social welfare programs in order to pay for interest payments on debt and other things like that. So basically what this theory is trying to note is explain how our money system actually works today, how it's different from what has worked in the past, and why these limitations aren't necessarily something we need to worry about. It's not that there aren't limits to what we can do in our economic system today, it's just that we don't have to be tightening our belt as much as we are. I mean, it's very clearly hypocritical when they say we don't have money and they increase the military budget every year, of course, but we don't have to fight them on that issue necessarily, and we don't necessarily have to have more taxes to afford these programs. We can do stimulus spending, it's been done in the past, we have historical records, it's something we can do. And especially since 1971, we're no longer on the Bretton Woods system, there is no gold standard. So the dollar is not backed by anything. It is a social construct, it's a social relation. So what we decide to do with our money and how we expend this money is just a reflection of what our social values and priorities are. So we can really hit Republicans hard on stuff like this, especially around the debt debates, if we better understand economic theory. So if you want to learn more about modern monetary theory, just meet me in the breakout group. If you have any quick questions right now, I'd be happy to answer that as well.
Which breakout group?
Yeah.
I don't know what the official name is called.
Call it MMT.
Just MMT?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, we don't have an existing breakout group that particularly. Yeah, so we'll call it Modern Monetary Theory.
Yeah, or MMT for short. Yeah.
Just so I can get some idea how many people would like to meet for further discussion. Awesome, thank you.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
I'll just shout. The only thing I need as regards to modern monetary theory is a response to conservatives
What do we say?
What do we say to conservatives to convince them to vote for taxes on rich people, which somehow they've been convinced is a bad thing? That's all I need.
Yeah. So I mean, part of that's a class issue, right? So Mitt Romney's never going to agree with you on that question. You're not changing his mind. And part of the MMT thing is to basically explain that we don't necessarily have to raise taxes to pay for these things. It's not that we don't need taxes. It's just it's not immediately necessary to have funds for programs. So if we need to rapidly in 5 years spend a lot of money to solve climate change, we can do that. That's not a problem. It's not that we have to find the money somewhere else now. We can just invest in it. Because our Federal Reserve and the Treasury together basically print all our money now. We control the money supply so we don't have tons of inflation, but it does mean we can expend more money. So yeah, hopefully that answers it in part.
Is that national or?
So this is only at the federal level.
Yes.
States require taxes to have funds, businesses require taxes or profits to have funds, so do households. So this is not the same thing as an individual household, and that's part of the problem with the debate, because Republicans like to act like government is a household, and that's just not true.
Okay, thank you.
So essentially you're saying that Ronald Reagan's economists were correct when they said deficits don't matter?
Yes. And actually, a lot of conservative economists from the 80s and 70s do believe this. They just have more idealistic views of markets.
Can you repeat the questions when you get them for people who couldn't hear?
Yes. so he just asked if Ronald Reagan's economists in the 80s were correct when they said deficits don't matter. And I would say largely that is correct.
One last question.
If it doesn't matter, what are the long-term effects of printing money and doing that sort of thing?
So the federal government can never not have an interest payment. So what are the long-term effect of printing tons of money? So we can have lots of debt, but we'll never not be able to pay the interest payment. The long-term effects that might be bad is too much inflation. So if you just started throwing money everywhere, you're going to get inflation. But if we target this investment in actual assets, actual services like healthcare, it's not going to be as big of an issue. There are limits, but we have to push to those limits, essentially. Thank you. That's good.
So we're going to go into breakout groups in a few minutes, and I'm going to suggest to folks who want to follow up with Harrison, and I'm so sorry for messing up your name, probably best place to be the exercise room. So do you know where that is, Vandana? It's the room that we've reserved just down the hall on the right, and if you're not sure which one it is, just ask Roger up front. But it's the one room you see on the right that doesn't have people in it already. Okay. Jeff, do you want to come on up here? Sure.
Hello, I'm back from last week. I'm working with the Economic Opportunity Institute, which was behind Trump-Proof Seattle, which is behind Trump-Proof Seattle. The City Council in Seattle has recently passed a resolution for an income tax on incomes over $250,000 for an individual, $500,000 for a family, and that's going to raise, $10 million to support immediate need, long-term underfunded programs, especially housing, perhaps education, and other neglected services, mental health services, and so on. The city of Shoreline, well, the idea behind that is to bring on a challenge at the Supreme Court that will, if things go as we anticipate, allow for municipal income taxes across the state of Washington and perhaps an income tax in the state overall. They need Shoreline behind it. I'm organizing Shoreline, looking for connections and making connections with labor and PTAs and community groups. So one of the breakout sessions today will be about how we can help our city council get this thing done. They're mostly trying to duck the issue right now. So that's one of the breakout sessions. If you want more information, I've got a whole packet of lovely explanatory charts about why income tax is essential for fixing our regressive tax system in the state of Washington.
Can I get a rough show of hands? How many of you thinking you might be interested in following up on that Shoreline income tax?
Look at them all.
I'm going to follow up with you after this, Jeff.
All right, great.
Yeah, and do know that follow-up doesn't necessarily mean you have to be there for a full hour. If you just want to check in, let that person know, get contact information, get handouts. Can do
Sign up on a clipboard and I'll call you.
Sounds good. Kathy?
Hi, I brought currency stamping materials that are borrowed from the Edmonds group. So there's an information packet and some different samples, things like Science Matters, Impeach Trump, Trump Lies. It's quite a thrill to spend a dollar bill with one of those stamped on it, I'll tell you. So stop over at the little table and stamp a few of your dollars.
Thank you.
Hi, I just wanted to tell everybody that I got from the Immigrant Legal Resource Center in Washington, D.C. These are cards that you can give out to people. One side is English, the other side is Spanish. And it says, I won't read the whole thing, but I do not wish to speak with you, answer your questions, or sign or hand you any documents based on my Fifth Amendment rights, yada, yada, yada. So we don't actually know if these are helpful outside of someone's home. But anyway, I have them, and I'm happy to share them. If anybody wants them, come see me.
Awesome.
Quick.
Give her a hand, ladies and gentlemen. As true newcomers, we clap for just about anybody. But that's a good one to clap for. All right, so it is time to go into breakout groups. Congratulations on staying on schedule. Here's what I would suggest, just so we can get our guest speaker rolling here. Harrison, why don't you go ahead and stand up, and anyone who wants to.
So while you have your phone in your hand, I'd just like to remind you we have merchandise available on Cafe Press, which is Indivisible North Seattle, Cafe Press /Indivisible North Seattle. So t-shirts, tote bags, coffee mugs, buttons, all sorts of fancy schmancy wonderful things, including a thong. So
Now a word from our sponsor.
Shameless merch plug. Good God, woman, how do you know Shane?
No,
What was that address again? Just out of curiosity.
cafepress.com /Indivisible North Seattle.
We should put that up on the slide. Anyway, those are the meeting dates that we've got through July. And then after July 30th, we have this space reserved pretty much every Sunday. Yes. And that's thanks largely to Lauren Harris, who is the one who's been working out. Yeah, she's not here, but let's give her a hand. She worked her butt off to get all of these spaces reserved when it was hellacious trying to do that. So yeah, we'll go ahead put that up on the website, and you can look at it, and we'll take it from there. So if no other questions, I think that's all I had. The donation bucket is making its way around. If you see fit to put in whatever you'd like to help us pay, this space costs us $180 every time we meet here to have this space, to have that space, and the room down the hall. So anything you can contribute to help with that would be mucho appreciated. Otherwise, looks like we got folks lined up to report back. My only request, as usual, since we're down to the end, if you don't really want to stick around for the report backs, that's okay, but we would ask if you're going to leave. If you're not going to do that, please leave now so that we don't have side conversations. If you are doing the report back, if you could really keep it to a minimum, focused on actions you're taking, that would be great. Ann, are you ready? Are you first in line? Come on down.
Environment team. A couple things really quickly. First is June 9th is the cutoff date for comments on the docket for the organic livestock and poultry standards, which the Trump administration is about to kill. Our website it's posted on Facebook. I'm not positive it's on the environment team website right now, but it will be within 24 hours. Again, June 9th, so please comment and comment frequently on the organic livestock and poultry standards. We'd like them implemented and improved, not removed. July 10th is the cutoff date for comments on all the monuments that Zinke's reviewing. Only Bear Ears is closed. All the other monuments, you must comment by July 10th. Again, please adopt a monument. We've got scripts up. Go to the environment team subpage, and we've got everything ready to go, but you must comment through a docket. It's not an action alert. Be aware, this week we're going to have a flurry of action alerts come through with comments to Cantwell on FERC and Energy Department nominees, with comments to Inslee and member of comments on Congress on the Paris Accords. And we're also asking everyone in Indivisible North Seattle, if you are a member of any city other than Seattle, Tacoma, Redmond, or Olympia, please contact the mayor or administrator of your city and ask what their position is going to be on holding to the agreed commitments with the Paris Accords. Seattle, Tacoma, Redmond, and Olympia mayors have all said that they're going to hold to those accords regardless of what the nation does. Ask your city leader, what's your city doing? And please report back to us next week, environment team, so we can help you follow up on that if they aren't wholly on board. One more thing, we are invited to join the Fremont Solstice Parade, and information about this will be posted shortly, but it's June 17th. And I will have the leadership team post it so that you all know the meeting places, what have you. We'll be marching with Wallingford Indivisible. We won't have our own banner, but we'll have lots of fun and enthusiasm. Looking forward to seeing you there. Woo.
I'm usually in conflict of interest, but I sake of sitting in on Kremlin, and so I need to tell you their action items. We can all do this. For the bills that are currently in the House and the Senate, setting up an independent commission, call the Foreign Affairs Committee in the House and demand an independent commission into the Russia investigation. Also call Rules and Administration in the Senate for Senate Bill S-27. The House bill is 356. But call the Senate also and ask for an independent or demand an independent commission. And we're also going to call the Senate Intelligence Committee for the same reason, to demand an independent commission into the Russian investigation. Thanks.
Elections. We have just one thing to ask of all of you. We are going to organize an Indivisible Day for doorbelling for Monka on Sunday, June 25th at 10 a.m. And we would love to have as many of you as possibly can come out and join us. They do provide training. You can bring a friend so that you feel comfortable going up to the doors. If you have any questions, but I do have a sign-up sheet. Give us your name and phone number, and we will pull this together, and it's going to be fun. Maybe we'll go have some pizza afterwards.
Hi, Jessica Goldman on behalf of the healthcare subgroup. The Healthcare is a Human Right organization wants stories to provide to the electeds at the federal level, and they're asking for videos or written statements about how Trump Care 2.0 personally affects you. So there will be information on our website explaining how you can upload your stories, but the more personal and the more detailed they can be, the more useful they will be to show the impact, particularly when it's going to involve a loss of coverage. We are going to reach out to the indivisibles in the states of the 13 white men in the Senate who are behind closed doors considering the Senate response to Trump Care, and we are going to try to make connections with those indivisible groups so that we can see how we can support them in their communities. That's it. Good.
Hey again, my name is Harrison, just in case you forgot. Thank you all for joining us today in our breakout group. If you're at all interested in modern money theory and you want to hear more about it, I will be here next weekend for the meeting. So I'll give another talk, and if you know anyone who's interested and you want to bring them along, go ahead. I look forward to seeing you all then. Thank you.
With Outreach. So what we want to try to do is make sure that we've got someone from our group in each of the other breakout groups. So within your breakout groups, if you could identify someone who's working with us or at least talking to us, or we'll come and seek you out and try to put someone in your group so that we can just monitor what you're doing and be aware if there's anything we can do to help. What we want to do is eventually create a pool of resources that any of the breakout groups can use, anything like flyers or brochures or business cards or whatever. And as we were in the process of brainstorming about this, some of the things that we talked about were doing targeted Facebook ads and also posters that would be posted in like bookstores or grocery stores or whatever. If any of you have any ideas creatively or for what message we want to promote, the main idea is to just make sure people know we're here and that they, just basic information like our website, but just to let people know that we are fighting back and that they're welcome to join us. So if you have any ideas about posters, let me know. Friend me on Facebook or whatever. And I think that was it. Yeah.
And it's 5 o'clock.
I'm supposed to almost eat it.
Can you hear me? Oh, that was good. Okay. Fighting Fascism Group. I'm Hallie Condit. We think that, well, we know, the average uninformed voter in this country is very unaware of the fascism that's threatening to overtake our country. So we've decided to make a PowerPoint presentation combined with a video and do teach-ins in churches, libraries, colleges, all over. And we have a fantasy, at least I do, of making a YouTube video on it, have it go viral. I don't know about that part, but we need a lot of tech help for that. At the Holocaust Museum in DC, they don't have it now, but they had in their gift shop, they were selling these posters of the warning signs of fascism. Right now, our country is meeting all the criteria for that. So we're putting together the presentation, and so far we have one person that's volunteered to contact, try to find places where we can hold the presentations. And we have two people, more than two people, working on, we have all the material, putting it all together. So that's what we're doing.
I'm just going to take this out. Hey there, Carl Larson, conflict of interest and communications, very conflicted, but at least I can communicate. Okay, so real quick about Monka. I'm sure everybody in the room now is aware of the importance of flipping the 45th, and you've been hit up ceaselessly to get out there and canvass. So as someone who's been out there 3 times so far, I got to tell you, it's actually really fun, especially if you do it with someone else. And thanks to Liz, I don't know where she went, for mentioning that there's going to be an opportunity later in the month. If you want to go out this coming week, myself and a few friends are probably going to go out on Sunday before this event. And we're going to try to hit it up every week or every other week after that. If you go with a friend, it's actually not intimidating at all. It's actually a lot of fun. You get to have some great conversations. You go do it just for 2 hours. Also, I'm happy to give a little overview of how to do it, or Tom White, our stalwart videographer in the back there, has made a video of the representatives from Monka's campaign, Dylan and Robin, who came out a few weeks ago and gave a really nice overview of how to canvass. So hit me up or Tom up, and we can send you the link, or you can just find it on Indivisible North Seattle's YouTube page. But anyway, let me know if you'd like to go walk and knock on a few doors with me, or there's an opportunity later in the month. Let's do what we can to make this state blue again.
You can also email helpdesk@indivisiblenorthseattle.org, and I will get you in touch with whoever you need to be in touch with.
Thank you. Is there anyone else with a report back for any of our groups? I kind of lost track of the note-taking things. Have there been note takers for every breakout group in the last weeks, and have we been getting those and putting those up online? That's not a rhetorical question.
Yes.
Maybe. We've been emailing them to each other, but we stopped putting them online because of security concerns.
Oh, okay. So we do not want to be putting those up available online anywhere? Cam?
Environment team does post our minutes, but we do not put people's names in the meeting notes. We use initials. Just in case anybody's concerned about that, we will continue to post our meeting notes. We will continue to basically strip names out because there's no need to have an entire name there. And when we need to identify someone, we will only use initials. If anyone who's involved in our notes is concerned with that, please contact me immediately. Thank you.
Thank you. Nicole, do you want me to put the help desk address up here for people to send to? Can you dictate again for me? Or type it? Okay. Thank you. All right. So if no other questions, no other comments, no other announcements for the good of the order, anybody had something they wanted to make, weren't able to before? Brenda?
I have a bunch of pre-paid postage stamp or postcards that to give away if you guys are walking out the door and you want to send something to the senators. Just get them to me or get them from me.
Thank you. And was there someone there who wanted to? No. All right. So scale from 1 to 5, where 5 was super helpful, 1 was not very helpful at all. How was today's meeting for you? Let's see. Good. Good. I see 5s, I see 4s, and I see generally looking great. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful Sunday, and we'll look forward to seeing you next Sunday.
Thank you.